Welcome into the Commanders Report Mailbag. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and today, man, I love these mailbags because I get to hear from you guys and the topics you want me to address. You know, when I'm just at my office here at Chat Sports, I'm trying to think of what you guys might want me to talk about. It can get difficult at times, but with these, it's super transparent. You guys just tell me what you want to talk about, and I love that, and I love the two-way conversation that we get to have on these shows. So before we get into the questions here, make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We are the most interactive Commanders fan community here on YouTube. We have these mailbags every single week on our live shows, Thursdays starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you guys don't miss those. And then also during the season, we are going to be having watch parties for just about every single Commanders game. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you guys don't miss it. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now. With that, I'll pause and open it up for questions. We got one from Murrow Garrett. What's up, Murrow? Says, would Commanders sign Kenny Golladay? I don't think so. Golladay really stinks, man. He really does. I wouldn't want to touch him. I mean, he's a bigger receiver, hands guy. Could be something the Commanders maybe wanted to add to their room. But I would feel like with a guy like Golladay and the way that he's struggled, if the Commanders wanted him, they would have already picked him up. Then we got one from JG. It says, why is there so much focus on acquiring another wide receiver when our need is cornerback and left tackle? Our wide receiver is deep. Yeah, I think that the reason why there is so much focus put on the receiver position, especially lately, is because Brandon Ayuk is such good friends and has already established chemistry with Jayden Daniels. And people are like, hey, man, if this guy wants to come play for us, maybe we should consider going out and getting Jayden Daniels, his favorite target from his time there at Arizona State. I think that's probably where it comes from. I think that I agree with you here, JG. The wide receiver room is deep. I like the talent that they have here. Lots of young talent that is up and coming. Plus, you got a legit number one in Terry McLaurin. The need is cornerback. I don't know if this team understands that is the need. I think that they like Emmanuel Forbes. I think that they like Benjamin St-Juste. I think that they've seen what they've done with some of the corners there in Dallas, like Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland and Stephon Gilmore, and they're like, we can fix these guys. But it's like, sometimes, guys just don't have it. So kind of worried that, maybe a little bit of the arrogance from Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. is showing up here with their decisions at corner. And then also left tackle. But here's the thing, though, JG, before I wrap up this question. I'm not counting out that this team adds a corner or a left tackle. If Stephon Gilmore decides to come here, I hope this team will take that opportunity. If David Bakhtiari would come here, I hope this team takes that opportunity. Absolutely, those are priorities, but with the Brandon Ayuk stuff hitting the presses this week, that's why we focused on it. Then we got one from Applesauce88. It says, what move do you think is the most realistic to happen for the Commanders before the start of camp? Most realistic, signing Donovan Smith, offensive tackle in free agency. I think that's probably the most realistic. Smith is a two-time champion as a starting left tackle. That's a clear and obvious need for this football team. Smith is looking for a bounce-back year. And if Smith stinks, you sign him to a team-friendly deal. If he stinks, you go with Cornelius Lucas or Brandon Coleman, and you're right back to where you are anyway. So put him on a one-year deal, see what he can do. I think that if the Commanders are going to make any move, that one seems the most doable for this team. Now let me know down there in the comment section, what move, if any, do you think Washington will make before the start of training camp? Do you think they make a trade for somebody? Do you think they sign someone in free agency? Do they extend somebody? Sam Cosmi, cop. Let me know down there in the comments section, who do you think what do you think the Commanders will do before the start of camp? All right, now, we got one from Doug Furr. What's up, Doug? Says, can we get updates on Bakhtiari, Williams, Gilmore, Price to get them here? Honestly, man, with these guys, it might not be Price. It might just be they don't want to play for a rebuilding team like the Commanders. And, if that's the case, I mean, Bakhtiari, obviously, his career is starting to come to a close here. He's been in the league forever. Gilmore, kind of the same way. I wouldn't necessarily blame those guys if they want to go play for an immediate contender. I'm not sure if it's necessarily a thing on Price. The Commanders have a lot of money to spend. So, if they just don't want to come here, they don't want to come here, and that's just kind of the way it works. Then we got one from It's Torched. It says, hey, Jack, do you think we have a double-digit sack guy this year? I think there's a lot of guys that could do it. I don't think Dorrance Armstrong quite gets there, but I could see Jonathan Allen getting there. I could see Jamin Davis getting there. And this one might surprise you a little bit. I could see Frankie Louvu doing it as well. I would say the most likely are Jonathan Allen and Jamin Davis. Louvu would be a little bit of a surprise, but Luvu's a really good blitzer, man. So I really do think that this is going to be a good pass rush. I think there's going to be opportunities for a lot of different guys to eat. But I think the people that'll get fed the most, so to speak, are Jonathan Allen and Jamin Davis. Moving on from Young Prodigy, says, will our running back lineup be strong enough? I don't know, man. I like Brian Robinson Jr. He's solid. Austin Eckler, I'm worried about him a bit. I think there's a pretty good possibility he just ends up just not being anything and he just stinks. Last year, he was not himself. I'll just put it that way. He lost a step speed-wise, and another year. Is it possible that Eckler is completely cooked? Yes, it's possible. But in that case, you got Chris Rodriguez Jr., who I thought showed some nice flashes last year. So I think the running back room is fine. I think that they're going to really be relying on Jaden Daniels in the passing game this year for offensive production more than the run game. It's just Cliff Kingsbury's style. So I think the running backs are good enough. Then we go on from Minnesota Hater. Says, I've heard you say that the Commanders' defense won't be a 4-3 this year, but doesn't Dan Quinn traditionally run a 4-3 going all the way back to his Seattle days? So yeah, what he did back there in Seattle with the Legion of Boom, it was that 4-3 underfront that they ran, and they had a lot of success. That defense was perfectly built to run that style of defense. And then Quinn ran that style of defense in Atlanta, saw some success with it, but it completely crumbled by the time his time was done there in Atlanta. And then he went to Dallas and completely changed his philosophy. When he had Micah Parsons, he pretty much turned him into a hybrid linebacker edge rusher. He moved him all over the formation, and he's done a lot of really innovative stuff that looks completely different from what he did in his Seattle days, where in Seattle they would kind of just run their defense, and it would be like the same 4 plays on repeat. Here with the Dallas Cowboys and what he's going to be bringing here to Washington, it's a lot of people at the line of scrimmage. It's a lot of creeper blitzes. It's a lot of multiple fronts. It's putting guys in different places. It's stunts and games and shifting formations. And it's a lot of creative, innovative stuff that you have to have in the modern NFL to survive. So Dan Quinn is not the same defensive mind than he was back when he was there with the Seattle Seahawks. And I think a lot of people still kind of think, oh, he's a 4-3 under guy because he was there in Seattle. But if you watch the film, it's a completely different defense from what he used to run there at the Legion of Boom. Now, true or false? Let me know. Down there in the comments section, the Commanders will have a top 10 defense this year. Type true or false. Do you think it's top 10 this year? Let me know down there in the comments section. Then we got one from my girlfriend here, Cassie Voth. Show some love to Cassie in the chat here, folks. It says, what teams have the best chances for the Super Bowl this year? There's a lot of good teams in the league this year. I would say Kansas City, of course. The Houston Texans are gonna be dangerous this year, it seems like. San Francisco will certainly be there. Baltimore will be there. Cincinnati could be there. Pittsburgh, if Russell Wilson turns his career around, could be there. There's a lot of different teams that have a chance to win a Super Bowl this year. It's just going to come down to which teams execute the best, who stays healthy. But there's definitely a hodgepodge of teams out there that are capable of winning the Super Bowl. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you are a real one, the real ones know that clicking that thumbs up icon every single show is the easiest way to help out our channel and be an active member in our community. It tells the YouTube algorithm that you enjoy our content and that other Commanders fans would like our content too, so they push it and recommend it to other Commanders fans like yourself. So if you love the Commanders, you love our channel, you want to help us out, make sure you click that thumbs up icon right now. Going from Tony FOMO. Says, will Johnny Newton be a week 1 starter, or will his absence from OTAs put him behind heading into the season? I think it's going to put him behind a little bit heading into training camp, and I think his performance in training camp practices and in the preseason games is going to determine his snap count, so to speak, or how much he plays in week 1. Cleveland Ferrell is kind of a bigger 5 technique type defensive end type. So you have somebody that can play that role in case Newton isn't ready for a starting role. But I think Johnny Newton, man, is kind of an undersized defensive tackle who they're trying to make into almost like a 3-4 defensive end, playing 5 technique. I think that's something that fits his skill set beautifully. And it could create maybe the best pass rushing trio on the interior in the National Football League in Jonathan Allen, Jer'zhan Payne, and then Johnny Newton. That is so dangerous if you get those 3 guys working. So I think Newton eventually will be a starter. Week 1, it's going to depend on his performance in the preseason. So what say you guys? So let me know down there in the comments section. Will Johnny Newton be a Week 1 starter this season? Simply give me a yes or a no what you guys think down there in the comments section. Okay, man. We got a question here from JG. It says, what is a realistic expectation for when Bakhtiari will actually be ready to play in 2024? He claims that he's going to be ready Week 1. That's what he claims. Is he telling the truth? I don't know. But apparently he got a doctor to clear him and made a big deal about it. So Bakhtiari should be able to go Week 1 if the Commanders end up signing him. I hope that Bakhtiari is open to the possibility of coming here because he would be amazing. You'd be like, I mean, he's one of the top 10, maybe top 5 best pass protecting tackles in football on a team that's going to be passing the football a lot this year. That would be such a big signing if the Commanders can get him on their team. Unfortunately, I think at this point, if he wanted to go to the Commanders, he'd already be here. Now, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. I really do appreciate all the people that put in questions today. If you want to get a question on a future Commanders Report mailbag, we have live shows every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you want to get a question on a future mailbag, make sure you join us then.